Well, guys, what's up? What is going on out there today? Yeah, Brent Abel here at WebTennis.com. Another Wednesday workshop. High noon here in the Pacific time zone, specifically Rancho Mirage, even more specifically Rancho Mirage, California, but more specifically the Mission Hills Country Club. And so two things to let me know that you can, in the comments area, please let me know that you can hear me. Okay, you can hear my voice. We got to make sure we got a good audio check going on, number one. And then number two, let me know where you are. Hey, Jeff, thanks for checking in today. Appreciate that. Jeff, give me a thumbs up or a yes. You can hear me okay. Want to make sure that the audio is working properly. All right, Michael. Yeah, there he is, the great Mike Rogers. Also in the Pacific time zone, up there in, I'm going to say San Ramon, California. Hey, Dave. Snowy Loveland. Yeah. So I've got, we have a house we finished up in Steamboat Springs this summer. I've got 4 security cameras outside that I can. I got an app that I can see them in. I mean, yeah, last night the snow removal guys showed up. I guess they show up like the house whenever there's like 4 inches or more snow. They come on by and start removing it, mostly for the propane guys, so that they've got access to fill up the propane when needed. But yeah, so the opposite here in terms of snowy Colorado, we've got another mid 70s degree here today. Next week looks ridiculous. It's probably, I don't know, lowest is like 81 next week for about 7 or 8 days. So kind of the best kept secret. Hey, John, thank you. Best kept secret if you're a tennis fanatic. I know Florida's good, but man, the Southern California desert is not too bad this time of year. And especially if you love 10 of the most beautiful grass tennis courts. I guess Wimbledon's better, but Mission Hills Country Club grass courts are unbelievable. So guys, what we got here for time? I got high noon. Let's give it another 1 minute. I'm gonna let folks check in. Hey, Steve. Yeah, the great Steve Moore in Atlanta. Steve, you and I need to schedule. Oh no, don't tell me that the blower guys are out here. You never know. It's kind of a crapshoot around here when the landscape guys are going to show up. But Steve, yeah, we gotta schedule that next session together. We'll do that. We'll do that this afternoon. Hey, Robin, always good. Always good. The good doctor. So, all right, guys. Well, listen, thanks for, I'm going to change the screen here just a little bit. Let's try this. And I think we're ready to go. All right, guys. Well, look, again, Brent Abel here at WebTennis.com, another live Wednesday workshop. We start these at noon most of the time. I know it's only been recently since we kind of re-upped on them, but I'm really hoping to start doing these every Wednesday at noon. I like to go for 30 minutes max. So everyone's got enough time to kind of get in there, spend a little time, but also get out as well. And look, if you've got any questions on what we're working on today, anything that comes up for you that you either really liked, maybe it was a great takeaway for you, or something you don't understand, be sure in the comments area to go ahead and let me know. So look, what we're going to work on today is what I'm calling a different way to think about the mid-court split step. And what I want to help you with today is the same thing that I needed to get help on back in the day, is how do we stop feeling rushed, whether it's singles, whether it's doubles, as we transition after a serve, after an approach shot, maybe even a chip and charge, return to serve, but singles or doubles, how do we start to get really, really comfortable with this transitional shot, which does require a split step. And And so that's what we're going to do today. Try to help you feel, give you some tools, give you some ideas. I'm going to give you a little practice session as well. Some ideas what to do there in terms of how to stop feeling rushed. What we're going to work on today is the why. And I think we can all agree on why we need a split step. But I like to throw it out there just to make sure that we're on the same page as to what I think is the reason that we need to really come into a really good split step. We're going to talk about the why. We're going to talk about the how. How do we do it? For me, I got this from the great Tom Stowe back in the day, legendary Northern California tennis coach. We're going to work on that. And then this is probably the biggest question I get. And I try to flip the question around a little bit. Most players will say, well, where do I split step? And I tell them it's not where, it's when. And we're going to work on the when. What's kind of the timing on that? And then we're also going to choose, when you come into this mid-court split step, you got to choose one of three shots. Is it a volley? Is it a half volley? Or maybe it's a ball that actually is coming in and you put on the brakes and you let it sit up and then you play an approach shot. And then, of course, like I mentioned before, how are we going to practice this? Because just like anything else in this game, anything we talk about, even if it's minor, even if it's a little epiphany that you get, that aha moment, the epiphany is the start of being able to learn this stuff. It's maybe the first 5%. And I can help you in terms of once you get the epiphany, the aha moment, I can give you direction of what to do, of how to get the end result that you want. But you got to put in some practice reps for sure. So, and I know the video is probably a little bit choppy on this, but this is what we're looking for in doubles is this mid-court split step, and then also in singles as well, if you're going to play serve and volley. But like I said before, you might be playing serve and volley. You might be playing a standard approach shot somewhere during the point, or maybe it's a chip and charge return to serve where at some point you got to come into a split step mid-court. And just a quick announcement here. I think you're going to love this. I've produced a new ebook. It's a PDF. And the title is How Do We Stop Feeling Rushed During the Point and Then Making Panicked Errors? And look, I used to do this a lot, right? I mean, I just didn't want to stay in the point, sort of start hyperventilating, wouldn't really be breathing much and just feeling rushed. And sometimes that rush feeling is your opponent. Okay, maybe they're taking the ball early. Maybe they're getting the ball back to you sooner than you like. But most of the time, it's just sort of self-inflicted where we are rushing ourselves during the point. It could be what we're working on today, but it really could be as well once you start a baseline point. And then we start to make some bonehead panicked errors. And this is going to help you overcome that. Really, I'm going to give you the number one secret to confidently playing calm, repeatable shots. That's going to come out. It's a PDF. You're going to love the single digit price. It is next Monday. So be looking for that in your email next Monday, December 8th. So I know we've got some folks who are new today. They told me that they would be on. And so just a quick little 30-second who I am. As a tournament player for sure, 21 USA gold balls, national USA gold balls in both singles and doubles. 2023, pretty recently, won the World ITF doubles title in Mallorca, Spain, the 75s age group with my good buddy Brian Cheney. Been honored to have been selected to 5 USA World Cup teams, Perth, Australia, Umag, Croatia, also Mallorca as well. And then 1999, right? Founder of WebTennis.com, one of the first tennis online guys. That's a story in itself. But and then 2012, creator of What's the Right Shot, which is really on my YouTube channel, the most popular teaching kind of thing that I've got, right? And so if you've not yet seen that, just go to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com/webtennis and you'll see what we're doing with What's the Right Shot, a different way of teaching tennis. And yeah, 50 plus years of tennis coaching career, tennis director, head pro at several clubs across the U.S. So, look, for me, I wouldn't say I was totally late to the game, but I was never a good junior player. Even though I grew up in Berkeley, California, the Berkeley Tennis Club, and had great role models in terms of tennis players there. I was really a baseball guy, and I did play junior tournaments one year in the 14s. And by the luck of the draw, I had to play this guy, Eric Van Dillen, which for some of you guys have been around a while, you'll know what that name is. But, I played 3 tournaments, played Van Dillen in the first round every time, 2 years younger, cocky guy walking around. He was in the 12 still. I didn't win a game in 3 matches. Got beat 0-0, 0-0, 0-0 in these junior tournaments. And that was it for me. I just said, this thing sucks. I'm going back to baseball. So that was what I did for my teen years. But I finally, in my mid 20s, I started playing a lot of tennis. And the very first tournament I played, a B level tournament, played a guy who I practiced with on a regular basis. And, we were decently close. I could win maybe 1 out of every 4 sets in practice. But I, of course, luck of the draw, drew this guy the very first tournament as an adult, just nervous as I could be. Talk about feeling rushed. I mean, it was pathetic. I lost 0-0, maybe in 30 minutes. And I remember getting back in the car and just going, you know what? You got a choice here. What are you going to do? So I decided that choice. I wasn't going to quit. I was going to keep working, and I'm glad I did. So look, what we're working on today is that mid-court split step transitional shot. And I was always told way back in the day that you wanted to avoid no man's land, right? You wanted to stay out of this area where in the right-hand picture there, you see, doubles where I'm split stepping right smack dab in the middle of what's known as no man's land. One of the worst names or naming things for a part of the court, because the reality is we do have to play some shots in there. And look, hey, Casey, thanks, man. I appreciate that. But, and so I was always told no man's land equals bad. You do not want to be in there. You don't want to play, shots in there. And so for me, it was just it became literally serve and I got a volley. It became literally I'm playing a short ball approach shot and I've got to volley the next ball, right? Didn't want to let it bounce. So for me, it was just kind of total chaos moving forward. Pretty much out of control, really had that hyperventilating kind of rushed feeling as I was trying to get up inside that service line. But yeah, I got real lucky, got together with Tom Stowe and a legendary Northern California tennis coach. And he just gave me permission to play a shot within no man's land. And the reason he said that is because, look, in the end here, Mr. Abel, kid, really wasn't that much Mr. Abel, was more kid. But he just told me, look, being able to approach, being able to play up at net, it is so much more fun to play the game of tennis that way than you just being stuck back behind the baseline and just kind of pushing the ball around and not doing much. So, he just kind of freed me up to say, look, we're going to get you up to net because it's more fun to play that way, but I'm going to show you how to do it so that you don't feel rushed, that you don't feel panicked. And so let's start into the why. And I know that you know why we need a split step. I mean, basically, when you come into the split step, the reason we do this is so that whatever shot comes back to us, that we can really efficiently react to it if it's on our right, react to it if it's on our left, or if it's coming right at us, it's a body direction coming at us, that we can get out of the way. And certainly in singles, it's more the first two. You got to be able to react to the right or the left in singles because it's a bigger court. But in doubles, when you're playing serve and volley, you're playing chip and charge, or maybe an approach shot in doubles, the chances go way up that the ball is going to be directed into your body. And that's where the split step becomes super valuable, super important, that you are able to get out of the way of the path of that incoming ball and be able to play the correct shot. And look, when you come in, especially in singles, you can realistically only cover 80% of the court. And really, that's fine. You can't cover 100%. And I know that a lot of players, they think, well, if I stay back, I can cover more court, until you get an opponent up there that realizes, okay, well, I'm just going to drop shot you to death. Now you really have to be an all court player. And then, but in singles, if you're playing your split step there in the mid court, you're basically saying to that opponent over there, you can pass me, but I'm going to give you 10% of the court over here to my right and 10% of the left, and that's it. So, and the same thing kind of in doubles, even though you guys as a team can cover a little bit more court, the reality is we can never in either singles or doubles cover 100% of the court, and that's okay. Are you going to get passed from time to time? You are. Even if you come into a perfect split step, mid-court, once in a while, you're going to get passed, and that's okay. The thing that Mr. Stowe kept telling me was, the message is, you got to tell this guy, you got to do this over and over and over again, and I don't think you can do that. And that's kind of the way that it worked out. Hey, Dave. Dave is saying, hey, I hate that when partners say you got stuck in no man's land when it was the play. Yeah. So, well, either gently correct them, or maybe you find a new partner. Anyway, so I assume that we're on the same page as why we need a really high quality split step as we come into the mid court. Now, the how of the split step requires soft hands. And if you were with me last week in terms of those 7 pre-contact stroke technique things that we got to do, the one common theme, or the one common message in all those 7 before you swing the racket, is you got to have soft hands, and which means that there's no clenching on the racket. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I used to be, I would say the death grip was sort of happening a lot, and that didn't work too well when I was trying to come in to a split step in mid court with that death grip, and it was basically, I was getting off balance, right? I had upper body too far in front. Well, when you go with soft hands, meaning that you've got no tension on the handle, now you have an opportunity to be able to come into your split step with really good balance. And what you're going to find, what I think is different about the way that I feel about the split step, is that the on balance part of this is really where the rubber meets the road in terms of not feeling rushed, not feeling balanced. And that starts with soft hands. Same thing when you come out of the split step, right? If you're clenching at all, you're going to get off balance. You're going to be falling. That upper body is going to be lunging. You're going to be reaching with the hands as opposed to the feet. The other thing is, when we clench too tight in the racket handle, it just works its way up into the arms, into the face, into the eyes. We don't really see the ball as well as when we have relaxed hands. And when you come out of this thing and you react to whatever shot's been played to you, when you come into your split step, when you come out of it, now you have a better opportunity, a better chance. You're really trusting of whatever your shot choice is, totally committing to it, and then being on balance for that next shot. I mean, I see a lot of guys come out of the split step and they might be on balance, but they're lunging for the ball for that next shot, and they're off balance when they play it, and it just doesn't work out as well. So here's something to think about. And this is something that I used to do. This was a mistake that I made, and Mr. Stowe really sort of pointed this out to me and helped me with this, in that our split step, the quality of our split step really starts, let's say, for example, it's with the serve, right? You're decided in singles or doubles, you're going to play serve and volley, or it could be the approach shot, or it could be the chip and charge with that return to serve. But let's say, for example, that you are playing serve and volley. And what happens here is that if we're a little nervous about the split step, about playing a mid-court shot, whether it's a volley, a half volley, maybe it's that approach shot, we tend to rush to get through the end part of our serve And what ends up happening is we sort of jackknife at the waist. We get our upper body ahead of our natural balance posture. And so what happens is we're kind of falling, right? We end up cutting off the last part of the serve by trying to get ready too soon to get into the forward movement to see if maybe this will be the time I won't have to split step in the midcourt. Maybe this will be the time that I can get all the way up the service line or maybe inside of the service line to play the next shot. And what happens is you just come out of the serve too early. So when you do that, when you, just like we talked about before, when you get your upper body ahead of everything, what happens is that you don't see the ball as well. When you're off balance, the first thing that your eyes try to do is try to find a stationary object out there in the landscape. And a moving tennis ball is not a stationary object. You might come out of it and you might look down at the court, you might look at the net, or you might look at something, but you've taken your eyes off of the ball. And now what happens is not only do you not see just before that opponent makes contact with a return, but you don't see the ball coming off the racket as quickly as we need to. So really what we've got to start doing is working on the finish of our serve. And you can exaggerate this for a while, just stay up on it longer. And what you're going to discover is that when you come out of it, you're going to come out of it on balance. You're not going to be any slower getting into that split step position that you want. And you're going to hit a higher quality serve. You're going to come out of it on balance. You're going to play you're going to then go into a much better balanced split step. And yeah, just the timing of it, right? When do we want to split step? Where do we want to split step? If we cut off the serve prematurely, the timing, it just is not right. And the whole thing, we just start to rush and it just gets really messy. So we need to completely finish our serve without pulling our head down too soon, right? So that when we come out of that service motion, totally on balance. So we clearly see the ball and time an on balance split step. All right. So, I think this is the one, this is the question about the split step that I get the most, especially when you're transitioning forward, whether it's in a serve, could be an approach, could be that chip and charge return. Everyone says, well, where do I split step? And I used to think, okay, well, there was a certain spot on the court where I would have to split step. I'd get there. And the next thing you know is I'd be waiting for the guy to hit the ball, right? The guy hadn't hit the ball yet. And so I was waiting there, and now I sort of lost that athletic, not sure what the word is, what the term is, but when you come into that split step, that feeling of being able to really then come out of it as you recognize, the ball's to your right, ball's to your left, the ball's right at your body, get out of the way. But sometimes I'd get to that spot, that where spot, and find out that I'm waiting too long. I've lost that momentum. Or I would keep running to the spot, and now the ball was already on me. So what I discovered, and this might be a little different, but I decided it's more when. It's more when is that opponent over there either about to make contact or has already made contact. And for me, the way that I look at it, in a general rule of thumb, you have to tinker with this a little bit because everyone reacts differently, right? But here's my feeling is the where of the split step is determined by when they make contact with your shot, whether it's a serve, whether it's, approach, whatever. But the closer you are to them, geometrically, the closer you are, if you're going to draw into, so the closer meaning that, let's say that returner over there, if you're playing serve and volley, they like to play inside the baseline. Maybe they like to play, a good 3-4 feet inside the baseline to return serve. Okay, you're going to have to split step sooner than if they are the type of player that plays back. Maybe they want to return serve and play 3 to 4 feet behind the baseline. Well, then you get to split step later, right? Because there's no point in split stepping really early. You're just going to be hanging out there waiting to see what happens, right? So the timing of your split step is determined by when they are either about to make contact, which is when they're closer to you, right? Or I feel like I can split step if they're further away, that I can split step later. I don't have to. I know that the general rule of thumb is just as they make contact, go into your split step. All right. But again, that might work. That might work somewhere in between. They're close to you or they're far away. Okay, I get it. That's fine. But it can't be the general rule of thumb, because if they're right there next to you, if they're pretty close, right? Next thing you know is you split step right when they make contact, and it's actually too late on the split step. The ball's on you. Or they're, 3, 4, 5 feet behind the baseline, and you split step as they make contact. And the next thing you know is you're hanging out, you're waiting, and you kind of lost that athletic momentum of moving through this a bit of moving through the split step. So look, this you're going to have to tinker with. In general, and I think if you watch the What's the Right Shot episodes, and I've got some there of me playing singles, me playing doubles. Most of the time, unless the guy's chipping and charging on me, I'm splitting probably at the earliest as they make contact, and most of the time a nanosecond later. So I want you to understand something that I talked about early on, is that I think that serve and volley is one of the worst terms that we've ever heard, or that I used to teach. I don't teach serve and volley anymore. I teach serve in transition. Hey, Michael, thank you. So just because it's called serve and volley doesn't mean it has to literally be serve and volley. And too often what I was doing before is I'd serve and just on a dead sprint, just go in and make sure that the ball never bounced. And most of the time when I did that, just so I could volley, what I found was, God, I'm lunging so far forward. I'm lunging off balance, and the quality of the volley was pretty pathetic. And sometimes I'd just be sprinting up there, and now I'm actually ending up too close to the net for the next shot, right? Because you're off balance, you play the volley, it's not a great volley, the technique's not good, and then the next thing you know, you're taking 2 or 3 steps just to recover from all this lunging forward. The next thing you know is, and you're so close to the net, it's an obvious lob situation. So it's one of the reasons that we rush, right? One of the reasons that we just feel chaos and messy as we're coming into the midcourt area is because we think it's literally serve and volley, right? It's not literally serve and volley. It's not literally approach and have to volley. It's not literally chip and charge in the return and have to volley. You're going to you're going to have to play some midcourt shots so that you don't have to compromise stroke technique. So here's what I learned this from Mr. Stowe. And by the way, he gets 100% of the deal. When I first saw him, it was pretty pathetic. This is back in the early 80s. I was, a decent B-level player, but not good, pretty inconsistent, mentally a mess, pretty angry little guy out there. But Tom Stowe gave me everything. He completely changed me as a player, completely changed me as a coach, he threw in some life lessons. And so any success I've had as a player or coach, 100% goes to him. So look, it could be serve and it could be a volley, right? It could be a half volley. All right. It could be an approach shot. But ultimately, your shot choice is determined by what's the one of those 3 shots that you can play on balance without a need to rush through it, right? And so once you sort of buy into that shot choice coming out of your split step is based on what's the one I can play on balance. Well, maybe the guys really kind of ding the return and it's up a little bit. And yeah, you can go ahead and play a volley. Cool, right? or maybe it's down at your feet and a better, rather than lunging forward just to make sure it doesn't, whatever, rather than lunging forward, you play an on balance half volley, right? Or maybe it's such a short return, you let it sit up and you play an approach shot. So the reality is, no matter which of those three shots you play on balance from that mid-court split step position, you might be able to you might come out of the split step and move a little bit forward. That's fine. But even if you don't, you're still going to end up on the next shot where you want to be, right? So yes, could you go ahead and lunge forward and play a compromised volley and end up in that service line or inside it? You could, but you wouldn't hit as consistently as good a shot from playing one of those three on balance from a little bit farther back. Because when you play that on balance, you're going to be able to come out of that shot and be able to still end up at the same spot that you want to be. So playing an on balance shot choice, you'll still end up in the same place for your next shot. All right. And I'll tell you this again, if you go back and you look at now at some of my, especially in the last, we're up to number 600 and 15, 16 or something like that. In terms of what's the right shot episodes, I would say maybe, it's been since 2012. If you go back to like 10 years ago, 2015, I probably split a little bit later. It's probably, I probably had lost a step, the quote unquote lost a step. I split sooner now. And the reason that I do is that I no longer have any concern about playing a mid-court, no man's land shot. I just know that from there, I'm going to make the right choice, right? I'm going to make the right choice, which is the right one to play on balance. And maybe it takes me on some points one more shot after that to get up on the service line or inside the service line. What does it matter? As long as you're in control and you're not feeling rushed and you're not compromising yourself by lunging and getting off balance just to play a shot, why do you care if it takes maybe once in a while it takes you one extra shot to get up there? I don't. I certainly don't anymore. And I found out that it just works fine. So, the reality is you get to take your time and you never feel a need to rush. One of the great things that I got from Michael Wayman back in the day, and this was after Mr. Stowe unfortunately passed away way too early. Still want to do some work with him, but I found a guy who I could really trust with my game, and that was Michael Wayman from England. Time he was the men's head coach at St. Mary's College in my backyard there in Moraga, California, Northern California. One of the things I got from Michael was that, look, when you've got the ball, no matter what shot you're playing, you get to take your time. You've got it. You get to do whatever you want with it. And this is a little off topic. Maybe not. Maybe it's one of the reasons that we're talking today about not feeling rushed. But he helped me sort of overcome this sense that I was about to play an approach shot. And I would go into this nanosecond future thinking in terms of, well, I wonder where that player is over there now. Are they anticipating where I'm about to play my approach shot? Right? Are they going to be there? And the next thing you know is I'd start to sneak a peek to see where they were before I made contact. Really inconsistent with the shot. He convinced me to go, look, doesn't matter what that guy does over there because you can't control what he does. He might stay there. He might anticipate. Your job is to take your time to execute the shot you're about to play and do it on balance and do it to the best of your ability without rushing. Take your time. And you're going to find, even if the guy guesses and anticipates a higher quality ball from you is really what you're looking at, you're going to win more points. You're going to make a lot fewer errors. So, the takeaway I'm hoping for today is that being on balance is, and I'm going to throw out a couple of ideas here for you in terms of how to train. It sounds kind of simple. But I do this stuff, I wouldn't say every day, but darn close to it, maybe every other day. but on balance is way more valuable than the need to rush just to make a volley, right? And when you release yourself from the frenzy of trying to sprint to the net, you'll make tons more mid-court shots and win a lot more points, a lot more sets, game sets, and matches as well. So, how do we practice this stuff? Well, there's no mystery to this. It does take some quality reps. I know I've gone over a little bit here, 12:33. Gonna try to wrap this up here for you guys and get you out of here. But we got to put in some really high quality reps, and the reps. I used to play with a guy at the Berkeley Tennis Club way back in the day, and he was a really good baseline player. But he wanted to play some practice sets with me where all he did was play serve and volley. I said, great, let's go for it. And he would do it for maybe a game or two, didn't feel comfortable with the transitional shot, and then said, screw it, and just went back to playing his baseline game. He never got in one full practice set in terms of just doing it. And so what I'm going to tell you is that you got to play sets. You got to play some practice sets, or maybe it's not even sets. It could just be points, right? I got a guy here who I play a lot of points with here at Mission Hills, where one of us will serve for maybe 10, 12 minutes. Then we'll take a little minute break and then, switch sides. The other guy will serve and I love it because we don't keep score. And what it allows me to do, if there's one thing I want to work on that day, if that day is I want to work just on serve and volley, or maybe when he's serving, I want to work on any second serve I get, I want to work on chip and charge. I'm going to do it for the entire set, even if that's not normally what I'm going to do in a match, right? Because where you are right now, if you really want to get comfortable with this mid-court split step and then choosing which is the best on balance shot for you to play, you got to get in a ton of reps. And I'm telling you, you're going to make some errors as you do this. And like my buddy from years ago who would bail out and say, screw it. What you got to look at these errors these are what I call discovery errors. Discovery meaning maybe you hit the ball, maybe you hit that transitional shot, that mid-court volley, half volley, approach shot, perfect, but you rattled it in the top of the net. Well, there's no discovery on that other than just telling yourself, hey, next time, you just got to play it higher. Just got to play it higher. So you got to be okay with making these discovery errors. And the more you make them and not get ticked off and not berate yourself and not get frustrated and actually start to be aware of what just happened and think it through a little bit, I'm telling you, it's not going to take you long to where you feel really, really comfortable with this mid-court split step. And the reason for all these reps is it helps to desensitize yourself to playing shots inside that old school no man's land, so that you just don't feel rushed anymore. Here's what I do. I do a lot of single leg, simple, standing on one leg for balance, right? So if balance is the key, if balance is the theme here today, then we got to do these things. I mean, look, you could be on the court on the screen on the left. You could be playing a bunch of points, and maybe as he over there is going to pick up a ball, just stand on one leg for 15 seconds, right? Or maybe 10 seconds, and then switch to the other one. Start working on your balance, right? Look, eventually, and you got to make sure you got a wall next to you or something where if you get off balance, you can not fall over. But once you get good at standing on one leg, try it with your eyes closed. Okay, all right. When you can do it for 10 or 15 seconds with your eyes closed, you're starting to get some really, really good balance. Do some of these one step forward into some balanced squats. The squats are a little bit like the split step, right? I mean, my split step, I feel like there's a little forward movement through my split step, but maybe you start to train that balance position, that balance posture with getting out there. You can do these at home, do it in the backyard, do it on the court, where you take one step forward and you come into a squat. Make it feel like a split step. And then you can get yourself right in the middle of no man's land, and just play some cross court. Just have a practice partner over there. Play some cross court rallies right from the middle of no man's land. You don't have to transition anywhere. You can just stand there and get a feeling of, oh, this is a balanced volley I can play. Oh, this is a balanced half volley. And you start to really desensitize yourself from being in that part of the court and realizing that you can play a shot here. And, obviously get a practice partner to do this. And then the other thing that I really want you to start doing is playing some one-on-one doubles points, right? You guys play the points out cross court. The alleys are good. You have imaginary partners, right? But it's just the two of you guys in the court. You serve and volley. And on second serves, you play a chip and charge and come in, and you just play a ton of those points like that. My God, my first gold ball in 1984, the 35 hardcore doubles. The year before that, my partner and I played one-on-one doubles maybe 5 times a week. And we got so good at being able to play that transitional shot, being able to play that transitional split step in there, feeling really comfortable in that part of the court. One-on-one doubles is basically the alleys are good cross court. You draw that imaginary line from the tee back to the baseline. It's one of the greatest drills of all time. If you never do anything else on practice, just do that. All right. So let's get back to the keys just real quick to review the keys to a great split step. Finish your serve first on balance. Don't rush through the finish of that serve. Soft hands coming into your split step. Where is determined by when that opponent is going to make contact with your shot. Shot choice is determined totally by balance. React to get to the side of the ball if it's coming right at you, or if you have to move over to it or get out of the way of the ball. So take your time. No need to rush. No need to ever rush this stuff. So look, I want to hear from you down below in the comments area. What's on your mind? Any one takeaway today that you really kind of went, oh, okay, that sounds pretty cool. I want to try that. Anything that maybe you've been thinking about that got validated today, let me know in the comments area. Or any other questions, maybe something just isn't clear. Let me know. And yeah, next Monday, like I said before, I do have a new ebook. It's a PDF coming out. It's a short little 14-pager. And what I'm going to help you with is how do we stop feeling rushed in points? Maybe you're back in the baseline, whatever it is. But typically what happens is players feel a little anxious, a little anxiety, start to not breathe in points, get a little hyperventilating going. I used to do this. They start trying to end the point too soon before you really have an offensive opportunity. You're not allowing your opponent over there to be able to really contribute to you winning points because you're trying to end the point too soon. I really want to help you get rid of that, eliminate that feeling. And what I've got for you is there's one, I'm calling it a physical mindset. I know that makes no sense, but there's something physically, and it's not about being, I'm not talking about being in great shape, but it's something physically we have to do during points so that we don't feel rushed. And Casey, where to get your ebook? I'll let you know next Monday. I'll shoot out an email. So make sure that you're on my email list. If you're not, go over to go over to WebTennis. Well, you can just go to WebTennis.com and just drop in a first name email address. You'll get on my email list, and then next Monday, I will go ahead and send it out. Let me go back to the comments here. Yeah, Dave, I think we addressed that. Casey, yeah. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Tom Stowe and the Great Van Dillon story. Okay, Michael. Steve, this makes me feel better. I used to think I had to get to the service line on serve and volley. Well, you don't. Unfortunately, that's been the message forever. And you've probably got, and I know you play mostly, you're playing mostly doubles. Unfortunately, We have doubles partners out there who aren't dealing with the reality, and all they've heard is the same message. Oh man, you got to get up the service line. Well, okay, how? How am I doing that? Right? I'm 65 years, whatever the age is. I'm not getting up there like I used to. Maybe when you were younger, and I'm saying younger, maybe under 35 years old, and you played a good topspin second serve, and that guy played pretty far back behind the baseline. Okay, maybe you can get up inside or on top of the service line, but the reality is not going to happen. So the best players, especially as we get older, they get really comfy in that no man's land, that area, the midcourt, and have no problem being able to split step in there. All right. Casey, couldn't agree more with the when to split step. I think another issue people have or what to expect once you split. I was taught to expect a little ball because it's easier to pop up for. Okay, man, I'm not feeling this, Casey. I'm not reading this right. I'm sorry. Okay, Casey, I'm sorry, man. Reword that for me. Michael, great reframe. Playing on balance should apply to all shots for me. No question. Yeah. I mean, it's just not the transitional shot. You got to play on balance with your serve, right? I mean, you're standing there, but what do? Sometimes we put the toss in such a spot that it throws us off balance as we go up to it. Sometimes we force ourselves off balance with our serve. Why? Because we're trying to get ready too soon for whatever potential return might come back, even if we're staying back on the baseline. And so balance, and again, I mean, like Mr. Stowe would, I got lucky. I got to get in this group of three other guys, Doug King, Steve Stefanski, and John Hubble. Those guys were literally at the time in the top five. They were three of the top five guys in Northern California, the men's open, not seniors, men's open. I knew the guys real well. They were good buddies of mine. And I just remember thinking, I got to get in this group with these guys. I begged Mr. Stowe to get in there because I'd known him from the Berkeley Tennis Club back in the day. And he goes, okay, we'll try it. And I was, these guys were in the top five. I was in the top, 350. I had no business being with these guys. But the one thing he did, and we had a 3-hour session with him every Wednesday in the morning, 9 to 12. Literally the first 15, 20 minutes, we didn't hit a ball. All he would do is have us rehearse forehands and backhands and maybe some split step stuff. And all he was looking for was balance. He said, if you're playing off balance, if you did too much off balance, he showed you the gate. He said, you're really not into this, are you? Just go home. I never got to that point, but I think there were times he was close to. Anyway, but we just shadow stroked and we worked on balance, and that was it. And so it's the key to success in the game of tennis. Is there ever a scenario when you are moving in not to split step? Well, at some point you got to split step, right? I mean, look, if you're playing doubles, Steve, and there's always a chance. I never tell my partner, hey, I'll cover my half of the court. You got to cover your half of the court. So if they lob deep over you, sorry, bud, you got to go get it. When I'm serving or when I'm coming in behind a return, my partner's already up at net. I want them to be aggressive up there at net, right? I don't want them to feel they've got to cover a deep lob. So whether or not the guy that, I played a second service going in slower and the guy is pretty far back, I still want to cover that deep lob, meaning I got to come into a split step at that point, just as a guy, or maybe a little bit later after the guy makes contact. So I think that's what you're talking about. But the answer would be no. There's never a scenario where there's not a split step, even if you're back on the baseline. When you're returning serve in doubles, right, or in singles, when you're returning serve, right as the guy makes contact, or maybe a hair after, or maybe whatever, is you go into a little mini split step, right? You don't know if the guy's serving to your right, serving to your left, or maybe serving right at you. So wherever you are returning serve, you go into a little mini split step so you can react to the direction of the incoming serve. Okay, where are we here? All right. All right, KC. Enjoy this. Hunt said, enjoy this. What resonated was that practicing doubles points with our partners is important and necessary to get comfortable with the transitional shots. Yeah, it's just the greatest drill. This cross-court one-on-one doubles is spectacular. You have to play serve and volley, right? If the guys, if you're the returner, you don't have to on that first. I mean, if I'm playing against someone who doesn't serve that great, okay, I'm going to try it in the first return, try to come in, but I'm always going to play a chip and charge in the second one for sure. I'm going to practice that. Glad that resonated. Casey, after you determine the split step, do you typically, as a default, expect a low ball at your feet because it's easier to pop up? So much spin on balls, they tend to dip low versus expecting to take the first ball out of the air. God, it's really opponent dependent. I mean, I've got guys who love to just unload on the ball, right? I mean, the smart ones want to get it down at your feet because they want to involve their. And if we're talking about doubles, they want to involve their partner. But a lot of guys just like to unload, right? So if you know that it's not going to be at your feet, you're going to come into a split step. You're going to look for the laser beam either to your right or left, or maybe it's coming at you. You get out of the way. But no, I mean, and look, the pop-up for me, I'm taking so much time with a low volley, or I'm taking so much time with a low, obviously a half volleys down low, is that I feel like I can control what shot I want to play back. I don't have to rush it. And so the reason we come into the split step is that reason right there. We want to protect against worst case. Well, worst case is a tough, nasty shoestring type of ball. And yet, if we're on balance, we see the incoming ball much more clearly. We take our time to execute that shot. And when you do that, you play a much higher quality ball going back. You tend not to pop it up. So hope that answers the question there. Alex, as a senior player, I like to hit my mid-court shot right up the middle. Any comments? Well, assuming are we talking singles? Alex, if that's the case, if we're talking singles, then yeah, I mean, I love to play shots right at an opponent because to me, that's the harder footwork pattern to get going, which is to get out of the way of an incoming ball rather than moving over to a ball to the right or the left. So if that's what you're talking about, then yeah, I love that shot. I would mix it up from time to time. But if that's your staple, your standard approach, right at the middle, then that's great. If you're talking about doubles, the only time I'm going to play my approach out up the middle in doubles is if I've got a ball that's kind of in the middle of my court, right? If I've been pulled out wide, then going into the middle between the two opponents, there's the risk that the guy right there in front of you is going to be able to pick it off. So I'm going to go more angle cross court in terms of try to get it back in terms of, get better angle back cross court. Casey Swan, Hubs is my college coach. Absolutely always preach balance. Well, look, John Hubble, man, you got the good stuff from him. One of my all-time favorite guys. And he taught me a lot. Beautiful player. Oh, my God. All right. So it looks like that is it in terms of comments, guys. If you love today's stuff, let's do a couple things here. Number one is if you're on YouTube, give it a like. I don't know what happens over at Facebook. Maybe that happens over there as well. I'm much more familiar with YouTube. And I'd love to hear from you. If you want to take 30 seconds and shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to know what's on your mind. Specifically, what are you working on with your game right now? What's the thing that you would absolutely love to get better at? Maybe it's something new you haven't figured out, or maybe it's something just been nagging you for so long that, you know what, it's just like, God dang it, I give up. I can't figure this thing out on my own. Let me know what that is, and I'll give you an idea or two of what to work on. And then look, two more announcements here. And guys, you're welcome, by the way. Thanks, Steve. Thank you, John. Two more announcements. The Wilson World Tennis Classic, which used to be over here at the Mission Hills Country Club in Rancho Mirage, Southern California. It is the largest tournament, the largest senior tournament, certainly in the U.S., over 700 players. And if you're looking for a great tournament this winter, wherever you are, maybe you're in the snow somewhere, out in the cold, if you're looking for a great tournament to come to, we've now got it back here at Mission Hills this year. It was over at Shadow Mountain, which was okay, but not nearly as good as a venue as here at Mission Hills Country Club. We've got it back. That is the last week of January. If you're looking for a great tournament to start, it's a level 2. There are some top players, but there are also other players that are just trying to get back into it, trying to learn. And so if you want some more information about that, let me know. It's here. Like I said, Southern California, Rancho Mirage, right here, my home club, the Mission Hills Country Club. Just shoot me an email, let me know. I'll give you some more information on it. And then thing 2 is this hat right here. Actually is a demo hat that we're trying to figure out for this year's or next year's 2026 Pacific Coast Senior Tournament at the Berkeley Tennis Club, world famous Berkeley Tennis Club, 1906. I've been a life member there. Literally, when I was born, mom and dad were members. So I've been a member for 1948, since 1948, lifetime member. It's a second home to me. Greatest place in the world. I just, anyway. But anyway, that's another level 2 tournament. And we have taken it the last few years, we've elevated it from kind of a ho-hum, sleepy little tournament to we've won Tournament of the Year the last 2 years in Northern California. We'd love to have you come play. And in terms of elevating it, there were a couple of guys older guys who played ATP tournaments, the men's deal. I said, are we close to what? He said, man, this thing is like an ATP event, right? Everyone gets a beautiful lanyard credential. We feed everyone 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The dinners are insane. They are catered by some local restaurant in Berkeley. And it's just, I can't even go into all the stuff that we do. The player experience is nuts. And every match is played right there at the Berkeley Tennis Club. We don't ship matches out anywhere. So if you want some more information on that, let me know as well. That is the last week of May. We start the Tuesday right after Memorial Day. And it's great. It's a great event. All right, guys. This is fun. I love doing this stuff, as you know. So I will see you again next time. And as always, come on. We got to get out there. Got to help someone else have a spectacular day. 12:56. Wow. All right. Talk to you guys later. We got to get out there, help someone else have a great day. See you guys later.